tonight is a board member of WPAA, and he's also a CEO of his own company. Please give a warm welcome to my friend Rich Mavrogeanes. Rich, thanks for being on the show.
How you doing, man?
Everybody calm down. No more applause.
Congratulations. You said my name right. That's very difficult. And my last name lets me take the handicapped parking space wherever I go. Just living with that nomenclature is tough.
I love the name. It was kind of weird. The first question I have to ask you is, you've had this distinctive voice your whole life. That is one of those voices.
No, not quite my whole, not in the womb, but shortly after that, yeah.
I'll tell you.
And in high school, it was more like.
It was a tough.
Yeah, I wanted to be a radio announcer, but
Well, when we met, the first thing you said is, I have a face for radio and a voice for TV.
Yeah, I have a perfect face for radio.
Same here. We're here at WPAA, and one of the biggest misconceptions is how is WPAA funded? I just got into a talk with somebody who thought it was funded by the town of Wallingford taxes. There was somebody who said the government pays for it, and donations. Can you please, because you're versed on it, tell us a little bit about the
Sure. So this
funding?
is Wallingford Public Access. So broadly there are the 1984 Cable Act sort of reinforced this notion of public access for cable. Mm-hmm. Basically, the notion is, here in Wallingford, for example, we have Comcast, mm-hmm. and we have AT&T, mm-hmm. and these are companies that provide services to make money, commercial companies, right? Mm-hmm. So they use our public rights of way, the telephone poles, and they use public lands in order to make money. So the notion is, gee, they should give something back to the community. And that was embodied in the 1984 Cable Act, and it actually started in 1971, and has since grown and has gone through a few changes. But basically, the idea is that every community should have a public, an education, and a government channel. The government channel is there to provide coverage of town hall meetings and city council meetings, this sort of thing. Education is for the educational community. The board of education would run that, and then we have the public access channel, which is what you're on.
Ta-da.
Yeah, and people think of that as Wayne's World, the crazy stuff. Anybody can come on and put on a show, but it's the embodiment of free speech. You were aware of Free Speech Square?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
and
so
I love Free Speech Square.
Here at WPAA, in the parking lot, anytime after 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Most nights you can come and just rant, and you'll be on TV live.
Listen up, Kim.
So we have the best public speech. I mean, WPAA is like the home of free speech here in Wallingford.
It is
just
too.
Great. Now, who pays for it? This is not funded by the government at all. Your taxpayers does not go to fund this. This is volunteers. Now, we own this beautiful facility.
Yeah.
I mean, many years ago, this organization was, I think, at the library. The Wallingford Library many years ago, like when I was in high school or shortly after. And then we went to 128 Center Street for a while.
That was fun.
And then we purchased our own building. We own this. So the association owns this. It's a nonprofit. Mm-hmm. The money to operate it comes from not taxes, but a fee that comes from cable TV and IPTV subscribers, IPTV being UVerse. So we have UVerse in town.
Now, does the percentage show up right on a bill? Like, let's say somebody wanted to look at their cable bill. Is it specifically?
It is, yeah.
How is that
it's there. I don't remember. I don't. When's the last time you looked at all the fine print on your cable bill?
I did look at it. I tried to
a couple of times a year, maybe.
A couple of times. You pay the bill.
It's there. It's $1 or 70 cents or whatever it is. But it doesn't all come to us. Wallingford Public Access is the CAP. Mm-hmm. The cable access provider for the town of Wallingford.
Yes.
So we submit the reports for the government channel, for the education channel, and the public channel. So we are the cable access provider. But a small portion of that, actually it's a bit of a controversy, of that money that's collected from Wallingford, only 60% stays in Wallingford. The other 40% is actually dispersed to other towns, which, we're not happy with, but that's how it works.
So
but no taxpayer money is used to fund this. This is a volunteer organization.
Okay, sir. The guy who saw me up at the town hall the other day, You heard it from Rich.
Yeah. Now the government channel does use tax money, and frankly, we think that could be consolidated into one facility and save taxpayer money.
Yes.
We've got the space here for it, and you know, someday we hope that that happens. It would be good for everybody.
I think it will one day when they realize what the potential is for the saving of money, and B, the station that we have here, what's available to the public.
Yeah. How do you like it here? How do you like the staff? How do you like the people?
I love the staff. I remember that with open arms that, you know, I came down on a day, I just decided to do it, and people would say to me, I'd be walking down the street, they'd say, Bob, you got to have a TV show. And I said, you know, darn it, I'm gonna. And it was a very, very easy process. I want people to know that it's involved, but it's not hard to do.
It's involved. There's a few forms to fill out.
And you have to be a citizen. You can't be a convicted, you can't be wanted. You know, and there is a process we go through, but you have to have a goal in mind, and it just can't be something that you just can't come in and do this in 2 minutes. There has to be a plan.
Unless it's 10 o'clock at night in the parking lot.
And you go out to Free Speech Square, ladies and gentlemen. Right, Kim? Now, my friend Kim, she watches the show. She watches the show.
Cool.
And she watches Free Speech Square.
Yeah.
And she thought it was hilarious that one day that I went out there just to wave to her and just to show her that the system works.
I've seen some wacky things on there.
I really have. During
funny.
the summer when we have Celebrate Wallingford and stuff, it was very active that night. I just remember a few funny things. I wanted to tape it, actually. It was kind of funny. But let's see. How has video changed? I know you do video at your company. Give us a little bit about what you do at your company for streaming video.
So I started a company also here in Wallingford. I'm currently with a company called Discover Video, but I started a company, back in the late '90s, doing ATM switching here in Wallingford, called Avidia. I wasn't the only founder, but that was my first sort of experience with a startup, and that was great. And then we started another company in Minneapolis and sold that off. Then we started a company here in Wallingford called VBrick. And VBrick's in a similar sort of business. So we sort of invented this notion of little boxes that you can buy to send live video over networks. You know, VBrick is now run by the original, well, not the original, but some of the investors. And we decided to go in a different direction, so we started this company, Discover, a few years ago. And video, so I'll ask you this. When you think of an important event in your life, you know, a marriage, birth of a child, you know, a death of a loved one, something, does an email pop up in your brain? You know, do you think about some text thing? No.
You have to put a date in history, and when the email became a viable thing.
Yeah, but my point is that when you think of something important, a movie plays in your brain, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So humans are naturally pre-wired for visual communications
and stimulation.
Well, that's a different kind of video, but yeah.
You heard it.
We don't get involved in that too much.
We'll talk more after 10 o'clock at night.
So the video has changed dramatically. It used to be you could send a little thumbnail-sized image, you know, on the old dial-up networks of long ago. Now you can view these programs on your cell phone from anywhere. In your program, I can view on my iPhone, I can view on a Roku, I can view many of the WPAA shows live streaming on the public internet.
You go to the website,
yeah,
and you go to video on demand. You scroll down, and the shows are there, and when I see, like, if I'm walking down the street and somebody has a smartphone and I want to show them something, it just baffles me that that's there.
Yeah.
It's
amazing,
that
isn't it?
media is there for us now. Because I could remember when in 1973, I found a red digital watch. It was a digital watch.
Well, you press the button and
the button, it turned red.
Yeah, I remember those.
Was it analog they called it? I don't know what they called it.
That was the first digital.
It was the first digital.
Yeah.
And I remember they wanted me to go from class to class and show them. I found the watch at a carnival, and the people thought it was just the weirdest thing. Tom Shanahan was my 6th grade teacher, and we talked about it. When I found the watch, it had to be worth $65 back then. It was so new.
Yeah,
you know, it had a big leather band, but
you know, in technology, I mean, just let me go back to your question about the video stuff. So one thing to think about is my daughter is now 27.
Okay.
I think 27. You know, she owns a house. She lives in Meriden. She has never had cable TV. So generally speaking, what I find is that people that are certainly under 30 don't watch cable TV. And the other thing I'd observe is that for what's on cable TV, it generally is recorded content. There's very little live stuff on TV.
Okay,
So there's
yes.
so most people are viewing content, under 30 crowd is viewing it over the internet, on their cell phones, on Hulu, on Netflix,
Yep.
streaming technologies, and analog and even digital cable TV is beginning to fade.
It really is. One of my friends, Ty, he doesn't even have cable TV, but he watches thousands of movies.
Yeah, on the internet.
He has his computers hooked right up to a beautiful TV. It's it looks like the Starship Enterprise in his house, because instead of a clicker, he has a keyboard
Sure.
on his table, and it's a really to see that now. From when we went, do you remember when cable TV first started? We had those
The piano box?
round boxes,
Yeah, with a
the
wire.
with the three
Oh,
levels.
sure.
And we thought that
Sure.
was the bomb.
Yeah, and the folklore, and it was actually a little bit true. You know, if you took some aluminum foil and put it around the cable in just the right position, you could get HBO.
Yes.
You know, decrypt it.
Jack cable, the first cable jackers.
Yeah.
We never tried it, but I remember they said you could do it. They actually had little books you could buy on how
Yeah,
to do it.
yeah.
And, you know, you had to wrap it a certain way over 4 inches off the end, and that was
Those were the days.
Those were the days. I think I still have one of those boxes. I found one.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to return it in North Branford. They had a pile of them next to a dumpster, so we kept ours. Just for
Yeah, but you'll see one at the Smithsonian.
someday we will.
No, they're already there. You know, as part of the technology exhibit and the
You
evolution.
were just saying how, going on the web. I went on the web and watched the first cell phone call of all time.
Yep.
It was on TV. They had a special, and it was streamed on I watched it on my computer. The first cell phone call. It was hilarious. Remember the phones were this
Oh, yeah.
big?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, my friend Donnie had one. It was hilarious. Well, that's what I was getting at, Rich. The way technology has come, and what you're doing right now, you wouldn't have never foreseen doing that when we were 13, 14 years old.
I did.
You really did.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you see?
I'm a nerd. I've always been sort of a technology nerd.
Being a geek and a nerd or whatever today.
I'm
That's
a nerd,
a great
not a
thing.
geek.
That's a great thing. No, but that's a great thing. But could you have foreseen? Now, when you watch old videos of Star Trek from the William Shatner, and he had that flip phone. A lot of those things. They had a TV show the other day about all those things are achieved now.
Sure.
The only thing they haven't achieved is that the transporter, and everything else is commonplace now. We all walk around with phones and everything, and we could talk to anybody in the world, and like you say, you could pull up any information.
Yep, right at your fingertips.
My friend is in college, and they pull up that information. They have to take away their phones before every test.
Well, in schools now, the challenge is not teaching technology to kids anymore, because it's almost jacks are better to open. Technology is there. In schools, you have this notion of BYOB. By the way, I'm formerly a commissioner of educational technology for the state of Connecticut. I'm on the board of the CEN.
Okay.
Right, so education is near and dear to me. And the challenge now is not teaching kids how to use technology, but how to interpret technology. Because you'll do a study and you'll find out that, these fifth graders or third graders or whatever, they'll go to do a web search, let's say Google, and type in something they want to learn about and assume that the first link is accurate information, right? And there's a skill there. We probably all know it as regular internet users that that the information that you're getting is not necessarily gospel, that you've got to sort of digest this, interpret it. So that's a new skill and is now beginning to be taught in school. It used to be, how do you, what's a keyboard, what's a computer, what's a monitor, right? So we've moved past the technology as an innovation. Now it's very much putting it to work.
Yeah, and seeing if the pedigree is true, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of garbage. There's that commercial where the lady's saying, you can't put anything on the internet that isn't true. Where'd you hear that? The internet.
Sure.
My father thinks
or the Homer Simpson. The internet, is that thing still around? Yeah.
Yes. Well, let's go. Let's see. How has the web affected public broadcasting? You see. Let's talk a little bit about that. Community TV in general. Let's.
Well, I think regardless, I'm old now. I've been doing this for a very long time. You know, I was using email in the early 1970s. I was one of the first people on the public internet. I remember the controversy when the internet was going to go commercial, you know, and the whole AOL and Prodigy, maybe people remember that. So I've been doing this for a very long time. The web has sort of, I think, simply changed everything, and this always-on connectedness that we have, you know, is a monster sea change, you know, coupled now with social media.
Yes,
it's just,
and we're never more than an inch away from an answer. I see people do that now. Like, you ask them a question, and somebody will turn around, and you know, they're going to town.
So I think the jury is politically, socially. I'll just, you know, my soapbox. I think the jury is out on whether or not this is good or perhaps not so good. It used to be that we had curated content. Curated in the sense that you had journalists who would study the news, understand it, you know, and do good journalistic behaviors and excellence to give us information with perhaps some analysis. And we all got our news from the same sort of place. Yeah. Now what we see, at least what I see, is the silos where, you know, you can silo yourself and only watch ultra-conservative right-wing content on the internet and only subscribe to that sort of thing and just refuse to ever be exposed to another side of an argument. And it's easy to do that now.
Like watching Fox, let's just say, just watching Fox.
For example.
Ridiculous. I tell my father, I shut the TV off and I see it. I can't believe it. It makes my father upset, and he likes it.
But if it weren't for Fox, you know, the Jon Stewart show wouldn't be so amusing.
He does. He really does like it, but he likes to disagree with it.
Yeah.
So, but it gets him. I see it getting my father upset, and I laugh, and I say, "Are you still watching that?" And we'll go back to it, you know, like, and for a laugh. Because I really think that, like you just said, what's out there for, that's not, to me, that's news. That's like a reality TV person. You know, it's weird.
Well,
those people have personalities, and they clash, and they.
Yeah, but remember, this is a business. So the purpose of a business is to make money.
Yes.
So I think Fox or MSNBC or you know, anybody, you know, their behavior is moderated by the market. So if you say crazy, controversial things, and as a result you make more money, you're going to say more of that because that's your goal, right? It's a business. Yeah. Their business is not in the truth business. It's in the money-making business.
Yes.
You know, so I think money in broadcasting has sometimes a detrimental effect. But we don't have that here in public access. You can say whatever you want, you know, within reason. You just can't do a call to action and do anything commercial here.
And, so there's that's what's great. You know, when I had you on, I said we could have our conversation, and we can educate the public as far as we know. And you know, it's what we know. We're going to tell you what we know. And I have every guest I've had on. I had Larry Donardis on the show. And he just wanted to tell me how much he knew my family. And he was very adamant about turning his chair. And he was like, and I want to tell you about your Uncle Bud. And it ended up being, he just turned the show around. And it was great. That's why I like to do it.
Well, you know, the older I get, the more I realize how little I know.
I think and I'm going to call them old-timers, people of age, people that telling me things from their childhood and listening to my grandfather talk about the war and my uncles talk about the war, I definitely perk up my ears because nothing beats it from the horse's mouth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like when I was talking to you downstairs one day, I just turned to you and I said, would you like to be on my show? Because I was so interested in hearing about what you had to say about one little subject. I forgot what I even asked you. Like, what are you doing here?
Maybe.
What are you doing in that room?
That's right. What are you doing here?
What is with
Who
that?
is
You're
that
having
weird
a hard time
guy?
putting that clip. You were raising a panel to put something in a box.
Yeah, I help. I take care of a lot of the technology here. You know, again, people can view this live on their cell phones, on the internet, all the video on demand. We do that, you know, for hundreds and hundreds of companies, you know, from Dow Chemical to small companies, other broadcasters. So Yeah, so that's
It's become commonplace now.
it's jacks are better to open. Again, if you're going to reach the next generation, they don't have cable TV.
And well, it's kind of interesting. Like when I did pull it up for the first time on the World Wide Web, you dial www. The world is your oyster. Yeah. I saw there was a plane crash. It was, I wanted to see the results of. They had a quick investigation. What happened is a plane stalled. It was a cargo plane, and it stalled. And my father turned to me and he said, "Yeah, the weight shifted to the back," and he knew already. And the thing had happened less than an hour and a half ago, and people already knew what happened. Yeah, and it was because of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I think people on the public internet, and when I talk about what most people say the internet, to me is the public internet, because I have a network in my building. It's not the public internet. It's an internet because it connects multiple networks.
Yes.
But the public internet, people need to understand that it is what it is. It isn't owned by anybody. Mm-hmm. It isn't controlled by anybody. It's a loose confederation of multiple networks, and it is unsecured. So if you're worried about security, don't do it there. Very simple.
Well, I posted on Facebook.
But the problem is it's so damn convenient, you can't help yourself but use it. But you have to understand you're taking risks.
People get complacent.
I take risks all the time, and I think, that's okay. But you don't expect it to be anything other. Always be amazed that it works.
Yes, and don't be amazed at the ramifications at things that happen.
Yeah.
Someone was on Facebook and they had said something to another person, and that person said to another person, and then there was 3 people talking, and it was over a subject that really shouldn't have been on on Facebook.
All right.
So I'm friends with this person on Facebook. I just said, Do you understand that every single person the person you're talking to right now, every other person that he knows can hear that, and every one of their friends is watching this, and all of my friends could see this.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think, as I mentioned about social ramifications of the internet and all that sort of stuff, I think the jury is still out. Our culture, our society is based on certain expectations of privacy, that, what goes on behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. I'm sure that we all have dirty little secrets. Yeah. I certainly do, and anybody that I talk to that won't admit it, I don't trust, right?
No.
I mean, we all have our private lives.
We all do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and having the written record of everything that you've done in your life and anything you've ever said is a little scary to me. I'm not sure that that's a good thing.
No.
But it may be a good thing. That's why I think the jury is out.
Public record. That's a big thing on the internet. You could pay for somebody's personal, like I say, arrest records and stuff now.
But you could always do that. It just cost more and took longer.
Yeah, and it's the privilege. They have privileged information and really privileged information and still more privileged information. Sure. And it's all how far you want to go with it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird. All those sites have credit card. You could enter it with a credit card. Why do they want to do it? Because it's money.
It's all about making money.
It's all about the money.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with making money. I mean, everybody wants to eat.
Yep. And I've been inquiring. A lot of people inquire, could I come on your show and I've got this restaurant? Well, that's great, as long as we could just talk about how you make the food.
Talk about your recipes.
We'll talk about your recipes and how you make the food and how happy the customers are. But we can't talk about, we're not going to put a picture of your restaurant up. Well, we can't advertise on the station because we're nonprofit. We wouldn't charge you. We're not charging you to be on, but we're not going to advertise your business either.
The whole point of this program is for the benefit of the community we serve, which is Wallingford.
Yes.
And via the internet, the entire globe.
Yes, I have. This was funny, and it goes back to what you were saying. A lady called me and inquired. She watched me from an air base in Germany and watched it. She got down to video on demand and Wallingford Public Access and got the Bobby O Show and found me. I don't know. It's not hard to find me, I guess. I'm not hiding.
And she sent you an email?
She did. She got a hold of me through a friend of mine, and you could find somebody. That's what I was just saying. There's really no hiding.
Whenever I hear from somebody at an air base in Germany, that's where I came of age.
Really?
I lived 5 years in Germany, and I'm a veteran and did my time, and so always. So we'll shout out to anybody at any of the air bases in Europe in particular,
Men
or
giving
Vietnam.
service, men and women in uniform. Thank you very much
That's
for
right.
for your service, everybody. We love it. Let's go here. How did you go to college for any training? I wanted to, the reason I asked that, now, it's not to slight you at all.
No.
But there's a lot of vocational training and a lot of smaller schools, I would say.
So I was after my time in the service, and actually during my time in the service, I ended up being a hippie.
Yay.
I was a hippie.
Me too.
Did the long hair.
I love it.
I took a European discharge. I used to sleep on the park benches in Amsterdam for weeks on end. Couldn't afford the youth hostels.
Once.
So I very much lived that life. And I'm still a hippie, and by the way, I still have long hair. It just started growing in. That's what happens. It's what happens when you get old. It doesn't fall out. It just wraps around your brain, makes you goofy. That's why I am like this. But what were we talking about? Oh, education. Yeah. So I ended up going to lots of universities. So I went to Boston University, went to University of Maryland, and I even took some time at MIT. I didn't find it. My quest was to get information in my brain, not to prove somebody else that I have it.
Okay.
So I audited all these courses. I don't pay for anything. I paid for one course because you get an ID that way, but I just audited all the courses, and the professors would let you do that. I don't know if that's still true as much today. And the TAs would take my test, and I would ace it and all that, but they just don't write down they actually write down your grade in the book, but you don't get any money credit for it.
Yes.
Because that's how the system works.
So you acquire knowledge.
Yeah, so I have lots of college education, but I don't have any degree, to show for it, because I was never interested in proving to anybody else that I have the knowledge. I just wanted the knowledge myself.
Well, I got to tell you, Rich,
that's how I used to think anyway.
This was a great start, so you really have to come back on soon, because this is
we could
hour
talk
show,
about
but
Vietnam.
We're done with
That'd be a
this
fun
half
one.
hour.
Yeah.
Would you please come back again?
Sure. And I'll tell you what, I'll do the I'll do the promo for you.
That's perfect. That would be
I'll do the
great.
voiceover.
That's
The Bobby O Show. Welcome to the Bobby O Show.
You gotta love the voice. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time for today, but stay tuned for the second half of this show and other shows here on the Bobby O Show on WPAA-TV. Tune in again. Thank you very much. See ya.